Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 155. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. And this week we're talking some updates, actually pretty cool updates for the Digitakt 2 and Digitone 2. Some of the things work for both and some are dependent on each of the pieces of gear. Lots to talk about there. And then we're actually doing something a little bit different. If you head to the chat while we're live, you can actually vote on which topic we're going to cover second. If you're watching this back, well, thanks for watching it back. Unfortunately, you can't vote because you're watching it back. But you can tune in live at, what is it? Well, normally it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific. Currently today it's 12 p.m. because of time change wibbly wobblies. But we love you to have you in the chat, but we also love seeing you when you're listening back. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is a very contemplative but nodding Eonlake. What's going on? I saw it. You looked like you were just like.
I was thinking about Dreadbox.
There we go. I hope you were voting then.
Not wanting to influence anything.
I don't know what's winning. So.
Yeah, sorry, you caught me on the hop there. I was just thinking about it, but I can't remember the polyphony. But we'll come to that later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm good, Ren. Yeah, I'm all good. I've been doing some live rehearsals and stuff. And right. Still doing some other bits and pieces as well on the side.
How's the live set coming?
It's okay. I can't make my mind up on song order, and I'm looking for weird things to weave into it as well.
You gotta just do it right at the last minute.
Chuck in the bin.
Yeah. Last minute, just decide it's gonna be this. 5 minutes before you go, you know what? When you hit start, when you go live, that's when you decide the track list.
I haven't even decided what hardware I want to take with me.
Okay, that might need to be solved before you go live. You might need to figure that one out.
How are you practicing if you don't know what hardware you're playing with?
Well, I'm trying a few things out, thinking, well, what would the options be? Do I need to take both of these? Should I just do one? And then the last stage will be I've got some effects racks I want to build, and then get those mapped to my MIDI controllers so that I can, beat, repeat, and chuck things into weird effects and so on as I need to.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, and I don't know why it would, but maybe it will. I think Lars just gave us a perfect title if Dreadbox wins. Very existential Dreadbox. Here we go. Yeah, what's going on, Lars? One of our patrons. We've also got others in the chat. I'll get to everybody in the chat later. I just saw that one and had to mention while we're on it. But yeah, anything besides the existential Dreadbox, but no, setting up your live set and all that. Have you been doing any like making of music, or is it all?
Yeah. I've been working on songs that are nearly finished and working on new ideas for the next album.
Using Move.
Using a bit of Move, yeah. I am finding that the way that things develop from me come from two different places: the musical idea place and the sonic idea place. The sonic ideas tend to come more from the studio, and musical ideas can happen anywhere and anywhere. So I'm trying to catalog them now in a way that they can start to be cross-pollinated. And sometimes I'm doing stuff on the move knowing that I've got a song in the studio in a certain key and BPM that I need bits for, extra parts for. And sometimes I deliberately do like to write parts in isolation away from the track so that some of the parts are influenced by what's happening in the song and some are deliberately not. And you just throw them in and they either work or they don't.
I dig it. I like that.
Happy accidents. Right.
Nothing like happy accidents. Well, that's awesome. So that's good to hear. You've been doing some creative stuff. You've been working or figuring out your live set. How many weeks till the live set? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Wednesday night. It's a few weeks. Yeah.
All right. There's still some time. Buzzer beats, man. Last minute, but that's all right. That's all right. Well,
90% of it's there. It's just.
Well, that last 10% is what matters, right? Knowing what gear you're bringing is kind of important.
Well, it's just changing MIDI channels, or there's a couple of tweaks to use different kit.
I suppose so. Yeah, I was thinking more like between what sampler, this and that, because you kind of got to prep your sampler if you're using samples live or anything. But yeah,
there will be a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. SP404. That's all you need, man.
Well, it sells the. I mean, last time I just used it as the audio card. Save taking a mixer.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing how that comes next week. Hopefully we'll hear that. I've chosen the gear, and there we go. And we just posted, I should say, Curtis just posted the tickets for Eonlake show if you want to check it out. If I was anywhere nearby, I would go, but unfortunately, I am a little far away. It's a bit of a trek. So, but I know Curtis is actually going, so that's going to be cool. And speaking of, also with me today is my tea sipping partner, Curtis. What's going on?
All right, dude. I'm good. I'm fine as far as the interwebs is going. Yeah, I'm on the other end of it. I just did a live set on Saturday.
Yeah. Had you not been sipping tea, I would have mentioned the recently live performer Curtis, but then I saw the tea and my brain went to the tea. So
just hyper fixated on that.
And I was going to ask
my producer is just like tea.
I was going to ask you about that on our Patreon call, and I completely forgot. How was it?
It was lovely. It was fun. It was great. Never before have I used less reverb or the least amount of reverb. I think I've ever used.
Least
reverb. You were in a big church, right?
Yeah,
you were in a big church, right?
Big St. Anne's Church in the center of Prague. So now the word is not desecrated, but it's an abandoned church which has been turned into an event space. But they have kept it very much. Like you can see on my Instagram, they've got some of the old medieval paintings from like 980 AD.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing, and
it's like a very tall space as well.
Yeah. So they've it's a very tall space, and they've kind of put a mezzanine in there, so you have to go up these big stairs to get up to the top, essentially. But even that, you're still like 3 stories. It's huge. And I kind of walked in. I didn't see it before. I knew it was a church. I knew what I was getting in for. And I just walked in and I went in for my sound check, and I was like, right, let's just dial off all of that reverb. Let's just keep that going. And it worked. And it was good fun. It was a great experience. And I think I'm going to go with the improvisation kind of way. I think that's kind of where I'm going to go, instead of overthinking it and kind of trying to make everything immaculate. I think I had a bunch of loops, and I had the monologue, and I had a patch on the monologue, and I just kind of went, and it was great. It happened, and there was a few happy accidents. There was a few wrong notes in places, but it's fine.
Some jazz.
Transitory notes, moving between chords and keys. That's all. That's all. It's high level music theory. That's all you were doing.
Yeah. Completely. I absolutely knew what I was doing at all moments. And
totally.
It's fine. It's all good. So yeah, good fun. It opened up a pathway, opened up a workflow. There's something going, and I came back to it. Been working on the album in the past couple of days. Come back to it, and I'm looking at it going, ooh, that could work in that way. With that knowledge in my brain, I've just kind of transplanted it onto the new album. So that's cool. That's where we're at. Where are you at, brother?
Oh, where am I at? I gotta think about that. It's been crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. I see what's it called? Smiling Ears just was adding context to a different thing, but put chaos, and I was like, that's an apt description at the moment, actually. But that's not the context he was putting it. But I was like, that's pretty good. Yeah, that works. Chaos. But no, I've been testing out some new gear that I've actually really been digging. It's pretty cool. I'll talk about that soon. And then I'm actually really trying my best to get away from the algorithms. So my first big step was actually, I've been trying to do this for so long, but just kept like putting it off, partly probably because of just like imposter syndrome and nerves and whatnot. But I got my mailing list set up and then got it sent, like got the first one sent. So like the first newsletter, whatever you want to call it. And I even made like you can get to join, if you want to join, you can get a free sample pack by like joining. I set up like the whole like web page thing on my site and all that stuff. So that's because I'm just so sick of all these algorithms. And after doing Through the Quiet Dark, where I posted about it, but I didn't really like try, I didn't I did a truncated version for Spotify. I didn't do any sort of playlist submissions, just kind of like, hey, it's there if you want it. And I mean, it's slightly dependent on algorithm, but like using my YouTube to be like, this is what we made on the YouTube and all that. It's like, I want to keep going with that. Like just direct communication and things like that. And so, yeah. And then like, I've been teaching a lot more through my YouTube. A lot of people have been messaging me for lessons and coaching and all that. And it's just like, it's so much better when you don't have to depend on these ever-changing algorithms. Like last month, YouTube was doing really well. And then this month it's not doing as well. And it's like, nothing's different. Just they're just not showing it as much. And I've been like looking at all the analytics and I'm like, you know what? I'm so sick of this stuff. Like, why be dependent on these algorithms? So that's been my major focus, is figuring out ways. And we can talk about it. I think I might make a video for my channel too, but and a blog and stuff. But the ways I've been looking at doing, and then we can maybe have a brainstorm and talk about all the ways we can do that. Because like Smiling Air says, I've deleted Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
X.
Yeah. So I'm not deleting the things, but what I'm doing, because Smiling Air is saying deleting, I'm just not worrying about like trying to optimize and making things for algorithms, right? You know, like trying to find ways. Yeah. Like I'm not going to stop. Like music is my main job, right? So I'm not going to stop doing these things, but how can I get away from being dependent on, oh, well, now this is the new thing, so I need to make sure that I'm putting these type of hashtags or, you know, this and that. Like it's ever changing, and it's just like this flimsy, it's like the most unstable platform to be on. So yeah.
I get that. Makes total sense. It's good that you're kind of taking control of your own audience in that fashion.
Yeah.
It's definitely something we should come back to, because we are, as much as we've been frustrated and there is this cloud over streamers, that has also been over social media for a lot longer in that regard. And it's been a while since we've kind of checked in where we're all thinking about that. So that sounds good.
Yeah.
In the present moment, as it is 20 past the hour and we have only got until the top of the hour, do you want to tell us all about what's going on over in the corner of Electron, Sunwarper?
Yes. Yes. Let's talk about it. So I saw this, I think it was last week, but it might have been the last couple of days, but Digitakt 2 and Digitone 2 got, I think, their first big update, and they've added a lot. And what was really cool is they've added some things for both of them and then some things that are for each of them. I'm going to start with the Digitone because I think the biggest thing they've added is something that I use a lot on my OG Digitakt, and that's overbridge streaming, which is really just multi-track audio over USB. So the previous iterations of the Digitakt and Digitone, much after, like long after they released, they had this overbridge, and overbridge is awesome. Like if you are doing sample type stuff and you want to send each track individually so that you can mix things in the DAW, that's the way to do it. And it comes in very handy when you're mixing and things like that. And so when these new ones came out, they said they're going to have that support, but they didn't launch with them. To my knowledge, Digitakt 2 did not launch with it, but Digitone 2 definitely did not, because they're just adding it now. They've also added some arpeggiator enhancements, new rotation options, additional speed settings. And then they also added a chord mode. So the chord mode allows for one-finger chord triggering across various scales and root notes. Also has features like chord root, chord center, chord spread, and chord memory. So you can store up to 16 per pattern, 16 chords per pattern, which is awesome. And then over on the Digitakt, the big thing that I see is they've brought back mono sampling. So when the Digitakt 2 came out, it was stereo sampling only. And so now there was a lot of requests to get mono because it takes up less space. And sometimes there's just a charm to mono. If you use the Digitakt 1, you know there's a charm to mono. But yeah, it says responding to user requests, they've reintroduced mono sampling along with the existing stereo sampling. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach it now. They've also added a Comb Plus filter. And I guess this was in the Digitone 2, but now they've brought it into the Digitakt 2. So I think it's written as it's more of a metallic sound with a lot of resonant qualities. And then they've changed the way you can route the distortion and bass width filter. So you can now choose whether overdrive, distortion, and the filter are applied before or after other filter types. So you can just kind of more sound design things and stuff like that. And then the other huge thing, key track modulation. So they've added some up to 4 parameters that can be modulated based on keyboard position, which I was just in a live stream I did. I was recreating the Radiohead Everything in Its Right Place synth.
Oh.
And a huge feature of that synth is the key tracking. And I couldn't do it in Quokka because there's no key tracking. So I had to kind of brute force it by recording the MIDI and then doing velocity changes, like penning in all the velocity changes. It didn't work quite so well, but it was an experiment. But yeah, so this is cool that you can modulate things based on the placement of like where you are on the keyboard. So you can have different things going up and down depending on if you're on the lower range or the higher octaves. Anything before I discuss the shared update, what was added to both? Curtis, anything interesting or that you want to mention to of note?
I just like the way that they are listening to customer feedback and they are putting stuff in there that, I assume that they thought that stereo only would be a decent thing to do. And then they realized that and backtracked on that, so to speak. And I think that's nice.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Is that everything? I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, I think so. When the Digitakt came out, there was a lot of criticism, and as it stayed around for a long time while other things were adding stereo sampling, there was a lot of criticism that you couldn't stereo sample. So I think here on the Digitakt, it's like, look, stereo sampling. Yeah. And everyone's like, well, where's the mono sampling? Because they added a ton more space. So part of the problem with the Digitakt 1 was mono. There's a low amount of like space per project. Mm-hmm. So if you did stereo sampling, you wouldn't get a ton in each thing. So then they solved that issue with this much bigger hard drive, RAM, all that stuff. But then it's like, well, so here's your stereo sampling. And then everyone's like, well, where's the mono gone? And it's like, oh, you still want that? Okay, well, now they've added it. So, yeah.
Overcorrection. I can empathize with the overcorrection, to be fair. I can empathize with that. Like, when people give me feedback about how I deal with things, I tend to overcorrect and go the other way. So I can empathize with that. You get there in the end. That's the main thing.
Yeah, they got it. They got it. Now, I think that's cool. And like the SP404, you can do both. You can take any stereo sample and just, if you fully pan it left or right, it changes. Like the last option, instead of, there's 127, right, left and right. But then if you hit 128, so to speak, it's mono right or mono left. And so that's like the way they solve it on the SP. That wasn't an update though. That came stock on the Mark II, but that is a Mark II, I suppose. But anyways, Eonlake, anything before we discuss the shared update?
No, it was a bit baffling, I think, really.
Yeah.
The rest of the world's had stereo and mono for quite some time. I really don't know where the confusion came from, but happy days. Got there.
Yeah, especially like if you are doing like a kick. You really want that in stereo, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe not, no.
Yeah, maybe not. All right, so then here's some cool ones that they've added that's on both of the hardware. So track swap. So you can actually swap 2 tracks, any associated settings, presets, and sequencer information. So they're saying that's really helpful for live performance, which makes sense, and organization. But yeah, I think it's also just if you are making songs on it and you start figuring out, oh, it would actually help to move this sample that I have down to pad 8 instead of being on pad 2 because I'd rather have the snare on 2 so that I can mute it and stuff. You can just move them right over. So I think that's really useful for organization and all that. And then we have P-lock to active trigs. So you can edit parameters on all active trigs within a page or track. You've also got live record overdub. So you can record new notes over existing trigs without overwriting them. So it preserves the original sequence, but adds more on top of it. And then they've done some additional improvements. Metronome toggle shortcut, which is cool. Enhanced graphical user interface, and then performance optimization. So that's everything. It's not like a groundbreaking update. They didn't add new machines or anything like that. But I think what they've added, especially with the Digitakt and then the ones that are on both, are very useful. I mean, first of all, being able to do mono sampling is huge. I love mono sampling. Like I got used to the Digitakt 1, so I just do a lot in mono anyways. So it's good that that's back. And then I think that track swap and the P-lock to active trigs, those two I could see. I don't have the Digitakt 2. I have the 1, but I could see those. Knowing the Digitakt, those could be very helpful. So yeah. Like I know you've got the Digitakt 1, right? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's my update.
Yeah. I think they're
get?
still updating the old ones for a while though, but yeah, I mean the Digitakt 1 is what, 7 years old, 6 years old?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm just being pouty.
As you are.
So I like to. I think it's good. Yeah. I mean, you know, they're not, you know, bowel shattering updates, but they are useful.
Yeah.
Cool. Will be well liked. You don't have to go out and buy a separate mono sampler anymore, which is great news.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. Where we like to give anyone a pat on the back here who are, you know, pushing out new features and functionality via software. When you spend a lot of money on an arguably indestructible metal box with really good buttons and encoders on, but you know, it's nice when you get some new stuff, even when it's slight, when it's not, you know, the end of the world.
Yeah.
I like those little enhancements. Shame I don't own one. Is all.
I am curious if we'll see any big, what was it, 1.3 or 1.5 on the OG Digitakt, adding those 4 sample machines.
What, like a final?
No, I'm not saying to the original. I'm saying I'd be curious if we see like new machines or something groundbreaking for the Digitakt 2 and Digitone 2. Because it's like, where do you go with everything on there now? I'm not a designer or anything, so I don't know, but it's like, what, and I'd be curious if anybody has ideas. I see one from Abby in the chat. That would be huge, but I wonder if that's even possible. But if there's anything you think the Digitakt 2 or Digitone 2 is still missing, that would be something possible to add to an update. Let us know in the chat, or if you're watching back or on Spotify, leave it in the comments. But yeah, Abby says, I want 8-note chords. 4 is not enough. I know, yeah, the Digitakt is 4-voice polyphony for the MIDI tracks. I can't remember though, is Digitone 4-voice polyphony per thing? I think it is.
Sounds like it, which is
it sounds like. I'm assuming, Abby, do you have the Digitone? That's probably it. I would say too, for the MIDI especially, I would like to see MIDI go up to 8 or 16 voices, because 4 on the original Digitakt is a little crippling. Like it is a little it stifles it a little bit for me, because I like to do big, like 5, 6, 7-note chords, you know, like big 9ths, 13ths, 11ths, like things like that. And you have to basically program it between 2 pads, which is just not my brain doesn't work like that. Like, oh, I programmed the major 7th on this one, I better do the rest on the other. Like, no, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm too lazy for that.
And then these are not cheap bits of kit. That's and they're unlikely to get any cheaper anytime soon. So it's feels like a bit limiting. Yeah.
Well, Curtis, anything on your end? Are you set to get one now?
I mean, looking at my bank account at the end of the month.
Yeah, get but one of each, you know.
Yeah, that's what I need to get. No, I it's one thing I do have my eye on. I would like to get one eventually.
Which one, Tone or Takt?
Takt, I think.
Yeah, those are sick.
I think Digitakt is something I want to get. But I mean, I'm a big fan of these these updates, which on the face of it don't look like much groundbreaking or bowel shattering, to borrow Eonlake's phrase.
That's maybe that's, I don't know if it is, but maybe that's a t-shirt right there.
I want to put it on a t-shirt. Just
Audionautic bowel shattering updates.
But I mean, it's similar to, it's like I won't go on too much of a tangent, but it's like I've reformed my opinion of Ableton Live 12 recently. In the name of it wasn't a massive update and they didn't bring massive huge things, but it's really useful, these small little things. For example, a metronome shortcut and enhanced graphical user face is a small thing on the face of it, but when you're in the moment and you are performing and you are, you know, everyone's the 6 people who have turned up to see you or staring at you, I have to,
now that you've done this performance, your mind is just like, oh, when you're performing.
Well, it seems like that's where it's going. It seems like that's where it's done. And now I'm stemming from what you said with track swap in the live situation, because that is very fair. And it does seem like it's it's not always about the massive things that you bring to the table. Sometimes it's just about going, hey, we've realized that this could do improving, and I
quality of life, man. Quality of life improvement, right? I mean, that doesn't have to be a game changer, or yes, the Eonlake bow shattering update. I mean, some quality of life thing, like if you do a lot of parameter locks and stuff, being able to do those parameter changes on all active trigs, that could be a bow shattering update for you. You know,
like the sound of that one, actually.
Yeah, you know, Eonlake was running to the bathroom when he heard that one. I saw it. He was about to get up, you know. So yeah, it doesn't have to be something massive. You know, it can be something that's just like, oh, that changes, like that's what I need for my workflow. Or as Sleeping State says, that's some high fiber music making right there. Oh, that's good. That's good. I love it. But yeah, no, I like key track modulation. That could be super helpful for sound design. You know, like yeah, it's not some new sample machine that's doing quantize or something, which could be really cool. But yeah, and yeah, there is the alternative, as Lars says, that they don't need any new bowel shattering updates. They're already in tatter. So yeah, maybe you should consult a physician about that one.
Too much information.
Yeah, maybe consult a physician about that one. We're just musicians over here, you know. Wrong podcast for that one. Crescent says Digitakts are mono. The OGs are the well, you can still, they're not mono in their output. They're stereo in their output. Yeah, you can pan and do all that stuff, but the sampling on the original Digitakt is all mono. And the way, like any sample track that you have, it plays in mono. But the new one, the Digitakt 2, did stereo. And then because people were saying about, yeah, it's mono. And then so now they've gone back and you can now set, just like one of the things I thought was a huge update on the Digitakt 2 is you have 16 tracks, right? I'm looking at my Digitakt over here. This is the original. You have 16 tracks, but on the original, the top row is the sample tracks, and the bottom row is the sample track or the MIDI tracks. And so on the new one, you can actually use any of them for either, which I think is really cool. And Crescent, are you asking if the Digitakt, did you mean mono and audio, or are you asking monophonic? Because I see you say not polyphonic. The MIDI tracks are polyphonic, they're 4-voice, but the sample tracks are mono. So like if you were to play a single cycle waveform on a sample track, you could just play a lead or a bass or something. Or you could do the Eonlake special and make a chord by doing different notes on 4 or 5 different sample pads, and then you create a chord out of it. But again, I'm too lazy for that. I'd rather just play a chord. You know?
It's not mine most of the time, to be fair.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? That's all the update. I think it's really cool. That's about everything. Curtis, anything you want to discuss on that, or shall we move right along?
No, let's move along. We've got things to talk about, and community corner come through, and then yeah, people in the chat. We're doing a public vote this week. We're currently at 60-40 in favor of Dreadbox. So we'll do the community corner. Not surprising, no. We'll do the community corner, and then we'll get through it. If you want to vote on what you want us to talk about next, and we'll go from there. So, community corner. Where do we start with community corner? Yes, this week the anarchic notion of this show is probably down to the fact that this was due to be an artist spotlight episode for Field to View. However, sadly, he couldn't join us this week, and we are going to reschedule down the line. However, that doesn't change the fact that Field of View last week released a new LP on Audionautic Records, which the link to is in the description if you want to go check it out. First Land Encounter is a beautifully put together combination of ambient and lo-fi, a little bit of IDM in there as well. It's a stunning collection of tracks. So yeah, if you want to go out and support your independent artists down there, check it out. It's a really beautiful piece, and we will get him out in the next couple of weeks once we've got through the next rotation of audio ADSNs. Anything to say on that, Sunwarper? You mastered it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love this album. I'm just trying to get to the Bandcamp, and
you,
so I can post it. But
you go ahead. It's in the link. It's in the description.
Okay. So yeah, incredibly detailed album, and something that it's one of those where you just listen from start to end, you know, an album, right? But it tells this story, and it's just, you sit there and listen, and you go through this, traveling through this new world. Like I said last week, it really reminds me of No Man's Sky, kind of like you fly to this planet, you land on it, you see all this new fauna, you know, whole new biome, all that stuff, and then you just go through this adventure there. So yeah, there it is. You mind just posting the link in the chat? So there it is. You got it. You read my mind, Curtis. You read my mind. So yeah, awesome album. Yeah, I would say I highly recommend checking it out. Lots of fun, really good sound design on there. And Tim Fields of Few does a lot for sync licensing. He gets a lot of sync licensing placements and things like that. So one of the things we want to talk to him about on the spotlight that we're going to do, which I believe is in a couple weeks, is tips for getting on sync licensing, because that always seems like this enigma, right? Like typically you'll hear, oh, sync licensing, there's money in sync licensing, like get your music in there. But it's like, well, how? Where do you go from there? How do you do it? What do you do? And I've spoken with him about it, and he's game to, you know, share some of what he knows, his knowledge and all that, which is very kind of him. So we'll talk about that. So if you have interest in that, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are. But that'll be what, in a couple weeks, Curtis?
Probably, yeah. It's the streamer's release goes out on around about the 28th of April, so it's probably going to be around then. It's probably the best. I think Easter will get a bit kind of lost in the weeds, and we want to push it out. It's a beautiful collection of sonics.
Yeah, definitely. I do also want to say hello to another one of our patrons, FCC, in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, I realized I never responded back to you, FCC, when you sent me that thing when I asked if you could hop on the show that one day I was gone. I'm sorry, it's been crazy. So I will get back to you. But this show is brought to you by our patrons like FCC, like Lars, like Abby, Mike, who's typically in the chat as well, but he's probably neck deep in Ableton at the moment, working on some generative sounds and things like that, which I don't blame him. It's awesome. But if you want to help support the show and get more of this, have the ability to come on the show and express your opinions on things like Behringer or Dreadbox or anything like that, head to patreon.com/audionautic. The link is in the description. You get bonus content. You also get additional chats over on the Discord. And then we also do a monthly hangout every month with our patrons. And that just happened on Sunday. And we had a really good talk. And I guess it continued after I had to go be a dad and hang out with my son. But yeah, it sounds like it was, I mean, for what I was there, it was really interesting. We were talking DALL-less setups with Hydro Fighter and just changes to workflow, all that type of stuff. We were talking, well, Eonlake came briefly before I left, but we were talking his live set. I spoke to Curtis at the start about his live set. We're just breaking down all that. So if you like all the nerdy details of gear, discussing that type of stuff, talking about LFOs and not seeing the person you're talking to's eyes glaze over or just act confused, then the Patreon might be for you. So patreon.com/audionautic. Curtis, I'm going to hand it back to you. Anything else we need to discuss in the community corner?
One more piece. One more thing that we do as part of the community is we have our Discord challenges, which we have 1 week to go into our listening party, 2nd of April at 6 p.m. UTC, an hour before we go on next week. We will be doing our listening party in the Discord for Audionautic for the Lingering Light remix. Stems are still there. If you want to get involved, please do. The stems are there, and this is a challenge. This is just a bit of fun that we do on a semi-regular basis, where take an idea, take a challenge, and just build something, and then address it as a community. This month, for the one that is voted the winner, we'll be giving away a gift card from Toman. We can do that now, which is great, and we can do that again.
Thanks to our patrons.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, thanks to our patrons. And yeah, so it's going to be really good. I can see Sleeping State and Eonlake haven't started theirs yet, and that's okay. Doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be any particular thing that be release ready or anything else. This is just something to get through things like beat block and writer's block and things like that. It's a lot of fun. Eonlake, you have got 7 days to go. How are you feeling about the remix?
I'm probably leaving it a little bit late.
Yeah, he was saying when Sleeping State said 1 week to go, I haven't started yet.
I did want to remix the bejesus out of the little sucker, and might have to have not quite so heavy touch this time, but yeah, I definitely want to go at it. In fact, I reserve the right to do it even if it's late.
Yeah,
I've got
you have that. You have that power.
Yeah, you can't stop me.
It is fun working under a bit of a deadline.
Yes.
From personal experience, Eonlake, the notion of starting it and giving yourself only a set amount of time sometimes is a really good thing to do. Especially when it comes to our own projects, we tend to take as long as we want. And this is nice to have that little voice in your head just saying, get it done, get it done.
Yeah, my plan is to set like just 1 hour, and whatever happens in that hour of music making, which is probably, let's face it, Paul Stretch, is where I'm thinking. I really want to go with Paul Stretch. It's either that or just that song, since it's my song. Like, hey, here's my remix. It's the exact same as the original.
It's gonna be good. Yeah, definitely. Diamonds are made under pressure. So hop to it. 1 week to go. That's what we wanted to say. So yeah, and yeah, just to reiterate, this show is brought to us by the patrons. And thank you ever so much. We love the fact that you are here and you want to get involved in this community. We love it even more that you are able to keep the lights on, as Sunwarper says. And we really appreciate the fact that you're here. If you are liking the show and you want to support, head over to patreon.com/audionautic. Pledges start at $2, which I believe isn't heard of much these days. But for that, straight into Starstream, and then we've got other tiers to get more and more stuff. So yeah, we'll go from that.
Well, before we move to the vote, I do want to mention Sleeping State will get, if Sleeping State's song wins, we'll get a Spotify $10 gift card. But everybody else gets, what is it? What's the one we're doing?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that. So yeah,
yeah. Let's see how it works.
Why? We'll save it for the Discord. I think the explanation for that one.
No, he's joking. I'm making a joke. No, everybody, there's only the one. But because of his absolute love, and I say that sarcastically, of Spotify.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's going to be a good one. It looks as though with 16 minutes to go in this particular show, the Dreadbox has clicked literally just in the last 30 seconds. And also we have got FCC requesting for the share folder.
Yeah, he said downloading now. So
yeah, I've just.
While you do that, I'll say hello to Jamie in the chat. What's going on?
Hey, Jamie.
But yeah.
So yeah, Dreadbox has pipped the post at the last minute, literally in the last minute or so. So I'm going to bring up these notes. But
what the scores? Come on, I need percentages.
It was 57% to 43%.
Wow,
really?
Crazy.
Wow.
It was literally 50-50.
That's a lot closer than I would have thought.
I think there are some devil's advocates in there that want us to focus on Behringer.
I think Lars used multiple accounts to try and do it on Spotify.
Just chaos and anarchy coming from the Lars tent.
Yeah, he's using like the iPad that he has that does that follow when he moves, his desktop or laptop, his phone. That's what I think. He says, I think with regard to you, Eonlake, that you've gone mad with power, but
me. Oh,
yeah, with your I'll remix it after the challenge.
All right. I've gone mad with all sorts of things, but yeah, maybe that too.
Yeah. We'll get there. So yeah, Dreadbox. Dreadbox have released their new synthesizer Artemis. We did feature it when it was in pre-order back in November, but it has gone down. And look at this little beautiful box. Never before has a rectangle looked so sweet and lovely.
The Erebus is pretty nice too, though.
Yes, I know the Erebus is quite nice. This is
with the wood grain on the sides too.
That is fair. This is slightly more than the Erebus. Slightly more, ever so slightly more. Quite a lot more actually. But it does have a lot more going for it. So it's a six voice polyphonic analog synthesizer with 2 VCOs, with FM, PWM, low pass VCFs, sine vibe effects, polyphonic sequencer, and there's 640 presets to get you going from the offset before you even start going into the idea of sound design. It's apparently, and this is a quote from the company, it says, built upon a classic Dreadbox DNA, It brings a whole new dimension to the Dreadbox family of analog synths. Like I say, 2 VCOs, 1 subwave, and a noise generator. Low pass filters at both 24 and 12 decibels. Keyboard tracking, 1 high pass filter, 2 ADSR envelopes, 1 dedicated to VCA, and 1 for the low pass filter. Cutoff VCO FM in there as well. 10 banks, like I say, of 640 presets. 2 poly LFOs with BPM sync, as well as VCO pitch, VCF, cut, VCO wave, and VCO pitch bend. Master stereo field spread, and 4 stereo sine vibes effects, which include distortion or bit crush, chorus, and it's got a arpeggiator, polyphonic sequencer. It's also MPE compatible with polyphonic aftertouch and mod wheel aftertouch.
That's
as
cool.
well, which is insane. An insane amount in such a small little box.
Dreadbox, since I haven't heard this one, but they typically have that very gritty, like awesome sound, and the filters are very, very they have a lot of interaction with the resonance, you know, like you can get some really cool sounds out of it. I have not had my Erebus put up in the desk in a while, and I see it in the office, in my wife's office at the house every day, and I'm like, I really need to set this up, and I just keep forgetting to set it back up. But this is inspiring me too, because man, you can get some nice sounds out of that, and I can only imagine with the 6 voice what you can do there. They've been doing a lot of polyphonic synths lately, which is very cool. Because the Erebus is duophonic, so you can get 2 sounds out of it, but it's dependent on the oscillator. It like splits it between the 2.
I get that. You don't have to imagine much. I do have a sound demo video here.
There we go.
Hit me.
Speak it into existence. You want me to put it on the screen?
I got it. Yeah, you put it on the screen. I'll full screen it. We can go from there. This is just that went away. This is from Sonic. There we go. That's from Sonic State.
Nice.
Can't claim it's ours. And I will play a little bit of it just so they don't get copy struck. But again, look at it. It's a very beautiful little thing playing with a Roly. You guys ready?
I was gonna say, I bet that would work with the Airwave and the Roly piano because of the MPE. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, go on. I'll play this. I'll flick through a bit for 30 seconds. It doesn't have reverb or it doesn't have delay, but it does have it packs a punch in other places. So let's go with this.
Well, it's got other effects though, right?
Exactly.
Sine vibes. Yeah.
Got loads on there. I can go back through them as well if that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Let's play this through.
Yeah, sounds like Dreadbox.
Oh, that's sub.
So this really reminds me of the Erebus, just 6 voice. Interesting.
One more.
All right, we'll stop it there. Yeah, that to me sounds very reminiscent of the Erebus, just a 6 voice version, and I'm for that. I'm all for that. Do you know the price of this one?
$1,400.
Oh, okay.
So it's not cheap. It's quite a bit more.
Yeah, because I want to say the Erebus again, 2 voice, well, sort of 2 voice. It can split it. It's 2 oscillators and it can do 1 voice per oscillator. But I think it's like, which makes sense. It's like 700 or 800. I'm gonna check it.
It's about 10K. So what? It's $343.
The Erebus?
Right now, the Erebus reissue you can get on Tom and America for $343.
Really? Nice. Okay.
Mad not to.
Yeah. Well, that is a highly recommend from me. That thing's awesome. If you like very gritty, I'm seeing Erebus for about 600 on reverb.com for used for the version 3. Are you looking at the Erebus that you build? There's one I think that you can put together.
I'm looking here. It just says the reissue. I don't think you build it. It looks like a thing.
I don't know. Look for Dreadbox Erebus version 3 because that's the one that has all the semi-modular, like all the patches and stuff. But anyway, it looks like I'm seeing here's Perfect Circuit. Let's see how much they're charging for it. no longer available. Okay, well then I don't know. So it could be anywhere in that. But yeah, I think that's the one you build. That's the one you build. Yeah,
Is that the one you build?
It's a lot smaller. So that may be the current one that they offer now or something. But the one that I have, that's the version 3 that I have. That thing is insane.
So yeah, 500,
yeah.
600, 500.
Yeah, and maybe they don't make that anymore because it looks like maybe when I went on Perfect Circuit, it says no longer there. But yeah, so this Artemis, to get back to the one that we're supposed to be talking about, it sounds very similar in that very gritty, distorted, heavy oscillator sound, and then the filter that's very responsive to the resonance changes and stuff like that. If you like that sort of sound, it does it really well. At least the Artemis does, and it sounds like this one does as well. And that's kind of, I think, the vibe that Dreadbox typically goes for. But I've seen other things like that. But yeah, for the price, what was it? 1,400, 1,600,
1,400 on Reverb. I've just seen on Tom and America, it's 1,185, which is quite a big difference.
I mean, for what it's offering with the effects and all that type of stuff, that's not that bad. It is a desktop though. But yeah.
I mean, I'm quite up for a desktop, like just connecting me.
Yeah, no, definitely for the space. Yeah, if you've got a MIDI keyboard or if you've got something with MPE, like you don't need a keyboard. So yeah.
No, looks pretty nice. Eonlake, what are you thinking?
Now he doesn't know if it's Moog or that, I think, right?
That's lovely. Yeah. You can hear I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but when I hear Dreadbox stuff, it's like you can hear the quality of the components in the sound. They've got that really rich, buzzy, sort of searing oscillator sounds and some real depth. You know, you do need a, adult sized nappy with some of these things.
What did it with you and Bowles today?
Good Lord, man.
But yeah, I mean, it's got that really rich tone. But with a load of polyphony and a load of effects, and the filter sounded pretty damn good as well. And the way that you're able to interleave some of those elements, it does sound really good. It really does. It's a lot of money, but I do like the fact that it's a really solid metal box. It's got their classic look, and it's got a surprising amount of features, really, with the MPE compatibility as well.
It's one of those once you buy it, you'll never buy it again.
It's when you think you don't need any more analog synths, But it sounds great. It really does sound great. It's a bit of a vibe. I think Sunwarper's got a point there. It's not necessarily what you'd call smooth, but I don't know. Maybe you can smooth it out.
You can get some nice. I mean, I'm only speaking from the Artemis. You can get nice tones out of it, definitely. But it's very much meant for the more gritty
ability as well, isn't it? To really,
yeah. You can get some really nice sounds out of it, but I mean, it is just it's very analog synth. And speaking on the Artemis only, I can't remember if this one has it, but you have to manually tune the oscillators, so they can just move ever so slightly and then start going off and out of tune and stuff like that. So I don't know if the Artemis is like that. I like it though; it's nice, but sometimes if you leave a patch, then come back, or if you're it just it's very analog. Let's put it that way. It drifts out of tune and all that.
Yeah, keep checking.
Smiling Ears have got an interesting point. It's plenty of smooth, but it isn't why we love it.
So there you go. It just means it's got the flexibility to do the subtle stuff in between your face melting, searing sections.
Yeah, I used to use it a lot for those the Artemis again, but those Boards of Canada pads. Those cleaner, but they've got that warble and stuff. But then when you want the bass, you can get some grit. And then with the modular patch, where with the patch bay and stuff, you could get some really cool pluck sounds out of it and stuff like that, playing with the filter and what's going before and after the filter and treating the envelopes and stuff. Yeah. But like Smiling Air says, most synths do thick, lush, smooth, very few do dirty. Well, the Dreadboxes do dirty. They get real distorted and real gritty. And then, like I said, it's partly with the filters they use, the way they play with the resonance. It gets all of those really interesting harmonics out of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need at least one analog synth that's gritty and edgy and nasty,
and goes out of tune and all that. You need it. It's special.
You need a grand's worth of it. That's what you need. You need a grand's worth of it. It's not enough just to have it. You need a grand's worth.
Yeah, sure.
We're coming up to 3 minutes before the hour. Any final comments or anything? Any final ideas?
Just that, you know, if Dreadbox want us to review it, you know, if they could, sure they could ship a box to Sunwarper or Curtis.
There's a space on my desk right here, ready to go.
So would everyone in the chat, I think.
Dreadbox, if you're watching, you know, send it over. We'll make a show out of it. Beautiful synth.
Yeah, I love Dreadbox synths, man. They're awesome. You can't beat them. They're really interesting. The sounds they do and all that. And they had that one that was like more of a digital synth or something. I saw a lot of the ambient people using it like maybe 2 years ago. I think it starts with a T. I'm forgetting what it's. Yeah, it might be that. That sounds familiar, like Typhon or something. Yeah, they've got some really cool synths. I want to look. It's been a while since I've like kept up to date with what they were doing. I think Sleeping says where are they based? I think they're a Greek company.
I was thinking Greek as well, actually.
I believe they're Greek.
Typhoon, yeah.
Oh, and I want to say hello to another patron of ours, ASF Strike. What is going on? Welcome. Great to see you. I saw, Typhoon, I guess, is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what ASF Strike is saying. So, yeah.
While you were talking, that gave me an idea for a round robin for next week.
There you go.
I can. So I'll give everyone a week to think about this before we go away.
You're gonna spoil it.
I can just spoil it, or we can hang it on a cliffhanger just like that. But I want to thinking maybe
up to you, man. You're all about the votes today, so I'm gonna leave that one up to you. So
let's try something new. This desert island synths. So if you were washed up on a desert island and you could only take one piece of gear with you, what would it be?
Oh, I already know my answer.
I know you already know your answer.
Maybe it's not what you think, though.
I'm pretty sure I know.
I don't know.
We'll have to find out next week.
There you go.
Let's wrap. So thank you, everybody. It's been a wonderful week. Thank you for bearing with us as we kind of had to do a 180 and move and rewrite a show within an afternoon. And
Eonlake, we lost Eonlake. He's like,
gone.
I'm out already.
He's out.
Yeah. He's like, I can't deal with all this improv, man. He can't last. You told him the what we're talking about, and he needs to know. He's like, I don't like this whole spoil it the round robin beforehand.
It's all good. Maybe that was a faux pas. We'll have to see. But
it's all good.
We'll see.
No, both forms would be new though, because we never say what the upcoming round robin is, nor do we ever discuss the next week's round robin. So saying that it was going to be here, I'm going to bring Eonlake back. Saying that you have an idea and you'll wait, and doing the cliffhanger or spoiling it are both new. You said, "Oh, let's do something new." Both would be new, so you're good. Anyways, I think we've gone on enough. Thanks to everybody for watching. Eonlake, thanks for coming back in right as we're leaving. It's all good. But I just want to say we appreciate hanging out with all of you. And if you do want to help support the show, help us keep going and doing more of these types of things, head to the Patreon. Real quick, though, let's say in a sentence, what are we up to this week, Eonlake?
Same as last week.
That's a good sentence. All right. Curtis, what are you up to?
Bouncing out pre-masters for my next album.
Nice.
You?
Yeah, just filming some stuff. 404 Day is next week, and I don't know if there's going to be anything, but I'm going to film something about the SP probably tomorrow, and then got that new gear that I'll be talking about. I'll be filming a video with that and editing that. So yeah,
that is a long sentence. Nice one.
It was a run-on sentence. Yeah, there were a lot of commas and semicolons, but yeah.
Secondary clauses.
So Eonlake did his super short sentence. I felt I had a little space to embellish.
It's a swindle. I got swindled.
Maybe I'm mad with power. I can bend the rules as I please.
On that note, let's leave this show while Sunwarper gets the video up. We'll just leave this on FCC's finishing the mixing so he can send us his new album.
Yes, the clock is ticking, friend. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait,
but we're looking forward to it.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It's a great.
And Cressette also says track listing for what he's up to. So yeah.
All right, that'd be fun. I want to see more of that. So We will be back next week, same time, same place. But for you guys over on the American side of the Atlantic, back to normal time, 11 p.m. 11 a.m. UTC. Sorry, 7 p.m. UTC stays the same for everyone in Europe. Wibbly wobbly time for 2025 in the spring is now officially over, or will be over by the time we're back. Listening party next week in the Discord. If you're not part of that, the link to our Discord is in the description if you want to sign up. So yeah, we will see you next week.
Yeah, grab these samples, remix it up, and we'll see you over there. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.